eyes of the abyss. Heather had always been fascinated by her late grandmother's stories of witchcraft and the supernatural, so when she discovered an antique locket tucked away in the dusty attic, she couldn't resist the urge to explore its history. Little did she know that by opening the locket, she would unleash a dark force that would threaten not only her life but the lives of those around her. The moment she opened the locket, Heather felt a sudden chill in the air. From the shadows emerged a black cat. Its fur as dark as the night and its eyes are piercing, a natural green. The cat's gaze seemed to bore into her very soul, and Heather felt an icy grip of fear clutch at her heart. As the days went by, the black cat began to appear everywhere Heather went. It haunted her dreams, its eyes filled with a malevolent intelligence that promised pain and suffering. Desperate for answers, Heather delved deeper into her grandmother's past, uncovering a dark history of witchcraft and ancient grudges that had spanned generations. The more she researched, the more she understood the terrible power of the black cat. It was the spirit of a vengeful witch trapped within the locket by her ancestors, who had wronged her centuries ago. Determined to break the curse and save herself from the wrath of the black cat, Heather sought the help of a local occult expert, a man named Professor Graham. Together, they unraveled the mysteries of the locket and discovered that the only way to break the curse was to confront the vengeful spirit and make amends for the sins of the past. As Heather and Professor Graham delved into the world of witchcraft and ancient rituals, they grew closer, bound together by the shared burden of the looming threat. Time was running out, and they knew that they had to face the malevolent force before it claimed Heather's life. One stormy night, with lightning illuminating the sky, Heather and Professor Graham prepared to perform a ritual that would summon the spirit of the black cat. As they chanted the incantations, the air around them grew thick with tension, and the temperature plummeted. The black cat appeared, its eyes glowing with rage, and the spirit of the witch manifested before them. Heather, her voice trembling with fear, offered a heartfelt apology for the wrongs committed by her ancestors and begged for forgiveness. The spirit, however, was not so easily appeased, as the witch demanded that Heather prove her sincerity by facing a series of trials, each more terrifying than the last. Heather, with Professor Graham's support, faced her fears head-on, navigating through the dark world of witchcraft and ancient grudges. With each trial, she discovered new strengths within herself and uncovered long-buried secrets about her family's past. Finally, Heather stood before the vengeful spirit, having conquered her trials and uncovered the truth behind the ancient grudge. With newfound courage and understanding, she offered her apologies once more, this time with a conviction that could not be ignored. The spirit of the black cat, recognizing Heather's sincerity and strength, released her from the curse. The locket, now devoid of the witch's malevolent presence, became a symbol of Heather's triumph over the darkness. With the curse broken and the black cat's spirit finally at peace, Heather and Professor Graham returned to their normal lives, forever changed by the harrowing experiences they had shared. Their bond, forged in the crucible of fear and darkness, would stand as a testament to the power of courage, understanding, and the strength of the human spirit when faced with the eyes of the abyss. The felon's grasp. Jack Templeton had been struggling with writer's block for months. The once promising author, known for his chilling horror novels, was now desperate for inspiration. In a last-ditch effort to reignite his creative spark, he moved to a secluded cabin in the woods, far from the distractions of city life. Upon arriving at the cabin, Jack immediately felt a sense of unease. The dense forest seemed too close in around him, and an inexplicable chill settled in the air. He brushed off the feeling, determined to focus on his writing. One day, while taking a walk in the woods to clear his head, Jack encountered a black cat with eyes that seemed to glow with an otherworldly light. The cat appeared to be more than just a mere animal, and Jack couldn't shake the feeling that it was watching him with a keen, malevolent intelligence. In the days that followed, the black cat began to appear with increasing frequency, its supernatural powers seemingly growing stronger each time. Jack's dreams became plagued with nightmarish visions, and his waking hours were filled with strange, inexplicable seances. Shadows seemed to move on their own, and whispers echoed through the cabin, taunting him with his deepest fears and insecurities. As the felon's demonic presence continued to influence his life, Jack found himself spiraling into madness and paranoia. His once loving relationship with his wife, Susan, and their young daughter, Emily, began to crumble as he withdrew further into his own tormented mind. Determined to reclaim his sanity and protect his family from the black cat's curse, Jack sought the help of a local medium, Mrs. Caldwell. She revealed that the cat was the vessel for an ancient demon that had latched onto Jack's creative energy, feeding on his fear and despair. To break the curse, Jack would have to confront the demonic presence and sever its connection to his own mind. With Mrs. Caldwell's guidance, Jack prepared to face the felon's grasp in a desperate bid to save himself and his family. On a stormy night, as lightning illuminated the cabin, Jack and Mrs. Caldwell performed a ritual to summon the demon inhabiting the black cat. The felon's eyes blazed with fury as it materialized before them, its true form a twisted, monstrous creature of darkness. Jack, his heart pounding with terror, mustered all of his courage and faced the demon head-on. He demanded that the creature release its hold on him and his family, vowing to destroy it if it refused to comply. The demon, sensing the strength and determination within Jack, hesitated. In that moment of vulnerability, Jack felt a surge of creative energy unlike anything he had ever experienced before. He channeled that power into a story, one that described the demon's ultimate defeat and banishment from the earthly realm. As Jack wrote the final words of his tale, the demon let out a guttural scream of anguish, its form dissolving into the darkness. The black cat, now freed from the demon's influence, vanished into the shadows, leaving behind an eerie silence. The curse broken and the demonic presence vanquished, Jack felt a renewed sense of clarity and purpose. His relationship with Susan and Emily was mended, and he began work on his next novel, inspired by the harrowing ordeal they had all endured. The Felon's Grasp became Jack Templeton's most successful novel, catapulting him back into the literary spotlight. And while the terrifying events that had transpired in the secluded cabin would forever haunt him, he knew that the power of love and creativity had triumphed over the darkness that had threatened to consume them all. The Purr of the Damned. Elmwood Lane had always been a quiet, peaceful street in the otherwise bustling town of Willow Falls. Neighbors knew each other well, and the community was tight-knit. However, this serene existence was shattered when a mysterious black cat appeared, haunting the dreams of the residents and casting a dark pall over their lives. The cat was unlike any other. Its fur was so black that it seemed to absorb light, and its eyes glowed with an otherworldly green hue. As the days turned into weeks, the dreams grew more intense and the nightmares more vivid. Each resident was forced to confront their deepest fears and darkest secrets, and the once thriving community began to unravel at the seams. Friendships crumbled, marriages fell apart, and trust among neighbors eroded. Desperate to put an end to the torment, the residents of Elmwood Lane came together in a town meeting. That they shared their experiences and realized that the black cat was at the heart of their suffering. Determined to break the curse and restore their community, they sought the help of an elderly local historian, Mr. Archibald, who was well versed in the town's mysterious past. Mr. Archibald revealed that centuries ago, a coven of witches had been burned at the stake on the very land that Elmwood Lane now occupied. One of the witches had been particularly powerful and had placed a curse upon the land that was bound to return as a black cat to torment the descendants of those who condemned her. The only way to lift the curse, Mr. Archibald explained, was for the residents to confront their own sins and make amends for their transgressions. Realizing that they had no other choice, the people of Elmwood Lane embarked on a journey of self-discovery and redemption. As they confronted their fears and atoned for their sins, they found themselves growing closer to one another, rebuilding the trust and camaraderie that had once defined their community. Slowly but surely, the nightmares began to abate, and the sinister power that had haunted their lives faded into the background. The black cat, its curse weakened by the residents' newfound unity and strength, retreated to the shadows from whence it came. The people of Elmwood Lane had emerged victorious against the darkness that had threatened to consume them. They had faced their fears, confronted their sins, and reclaimed their once idyllic lives. The bonds they had formed in the face of adversity were stronger than ever, and they vowed never to forget the lessons they had learned from the Purr of the Damned. As for the mysterious black cat, it was said to still wander the outskirts of Willow Falls, waiting for the day when the people of Elmwood Lane would forget their past and once again fall victim to its ancient curse. But for now, the town lived on in peace and harmony, forever changed by the ordeal they had survived together. The shadows Whiskers, in the quiet, sleepy town of Blackwood, nestled deep within the New England woods, life seemed to follow a predictable pattern. The Robbins family, consisting of Mary, her husband Thomas, and their two children, Ellie and Sam, were no exception. They had recently moved to the town in hopes of finding solace in the peace and quiet. It was a crisp autumn day when Ellie stumbled upon a black cat on her way back from school. The cat had an eerie, penetrating stare that seemed to bore into her soul. Despite this, he felt drawn to the creature and decided to bring it home. think it could use some love and care. Mary and Thomas were hesitant, but they couldn't bear to see the pleading look in Ellie's eyes, and so they reluctantly agreed to adopt the cat, whom they named Whiskers. At first, Whiskers appeared to be a typical cat, aloof and independent. However, as the days turned into weeks, the Robbins family noticed that their luck had started to change. Little things went wrong at first. A broken dish here. Mary, a practical woman, dismissed these occurrences as mere coincidences. But Thomas couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more at play. He began to notice that Whiskers was always nearby, watching them intently as if the cat was somehow responsible for their misfortunes. Ellie and Sam, too, grew increasingly uneasy around the animal. One night, when the moon was full and the wind whistled through the trees, Thomas caught a glimpse of Whiskers' reflection in a mirror. To his horror, the reflection revealed a hideous, cackling old witch with piercing green eyes instead of the familiar black cat. Panicking, he smashed the mirror, sending shards of glass flying across the room. The witch's laughter cut through the house, sending chills down the family's spines. Desperate for answers, Thomas sought the help of the town's elderly librarian, Miss Margaret Hawthorne, a woman well versed in Blackwood's history and folklore. She told him of an ancient witch named Agatha Beckett, who had been wrongfully accused and executed by the town's ancestors centuries ago. Before her death, she had cursed the town and vowed to seek revenge through a black cat that bore her spirit. Miss Hawthorne provided Thomas with an old, dusty tome containing a ritual to banish the witch's spirit and free Whiskers from her control. Armed with this knowledge, the Robbins family gathered around Whiskers, who glared at them with a knowing, malevolent gaze as they chanted the incantation. The shadows in the room began to twist and writhe, as if in agony. A chilling wind swept through the house, and the witch's spirit emerged from the cat's body, a swirling mass of darkness that screeched and clawed at the air. The family continued the ritual, their voices shaking with fear but unwavering in their determination. With a final anguished howl, the witch's spirit was banished, leaving only a cloud of black mist that dissipated into the night. The Robbins family breathed a collective sigh of relief as they watched Whiskers, now free from the witch's influence, transformed back into an ordinary black cat. Though they knew that the scars left by the ordeal would take time to heal, they had persevered together and broken the curse that had plagued their lives, and so life returned to normal in the small town of Blackwood. Whispers of the Midnight Feline. In Crescent Valley, a quaint town nestled between misty mountains and dense forests, time seemed to crawl at a leisurely pace. The townspeople were well aware of a chilling legend that haunted their town. Every 13 years, a black cat would emerge from the darkness, and with its arrival, a series of unexplainable deaths would plague the town. The dreaded year had come once again, and whispers of the Midnight Feline circulated among the townsfolk. Among them were a group of childhood friends, Jack, Lucy, Mike, and Sarah, who had grown up with the eerie tale. As teenagers, they had made a pact to face their fears and unravel the mystery behind the curse when the time came. The first death occurred soon after the rumors began. An old man was found lifeless in his bed, his face twisted into a visage of terror. The friends, now adults, knew that it was time to fulfill their promise. Each of them had long since moved on with their lives, but the bond they shared over the legend was unbreakable. The friends reunited in Crescent Valley, determined to uncover the truth. As the nights grew darker, the four friends ventured deep into the woods where the black cat was said to dwell. With each step, the eerie whispers that haunted the town seemed to grow louder, filling their minds with a sense of dread. And then one fateful night, they saw it, the Midnight Feline, its black fur shimmering under the moonlight, its golden eyes locked onto their souls. The sight of the creature sent shivers down their spines, but they pressed on, following it through the twisted undergrowth until they reached a crumbling old mansion, long forgotten by the town. The black cat slipped through a crack in the door, and the friends reluctantly followed, their hearts pounding in their chests. Inside, the mansion was shrouded in darkness, illuminated only by the faint glow of the moon through the broken windows. The friends could hear the cat's whispers echoing through the halls, a cryptic message that seemed to beckon them deeper into the shadows. As they explored the decaying rooms, they discovered a hidden chamber where they found the skeletal remains of a young woman clutching an ancient book of spells. A cold realization washed over them. The woman had been a witch, persecuted by the town's ancestors and condemned to die. With her last breath, she had cursed the town and imbued her spirit into the black cat, ensuring that her vengeance would be felt for generations to come. The friends knew that they had to break the curse to save their town. Using the witch's spellbook, they formed a ritual to release her vengeful spirit from the cat's body. As they chanted the incantation, the room filled with an unnatural cold, and the black cat began to tremble. But then a deafening screech filled the air, and the cat's body contorted as the spirit of the witch was torn from it. The friends watched in terror as the vengeful spirit writhed and twisted, its rage palpable even in the darkness, and then just as suddenly as it had appeared, the spirit vanished, leaving only the echoes of its fury in the air. Exhausted but triumphant, the friends emerged from the mansion knowing that they had broken the curse and saved their town. The black cat, now free from the witch's influence, scampered into the night, disappearing into the shadows from which it had come. Crescent Valley breathed a collective sigh of relief. The whispers of the midnight feline finally silenced. Jack, Lucy, Mike, and Sarah knew that they had faced their darkest fears and emerged victorious, their bond strengthened by the harrowing ordeal they had shared. As the sun rose over the sleepy town, they embraced one another, grateful for the friendship that had carried them through the darkness. In the days and weeks that followed, life in Crescent Valley slowly returned to normal. The townspeople no longer feared the dreaded 13-year cycle and the black cat that had once terrorized their community. Instead, they celebrated the courage and tenacity of Jack, Lucy, Mike, and Sarah, who had confronted the curse head-on and emerged victorious. As for the friends, their lives were forever changed by their shared experience. They remained close, the memories of their harrowing adventure binding them together in a way that few could understand. They continued to meet regularly, sharing stories and laughter over warm cups of coffee, their friendship only growing stronger. As the years passed, the black cat, now freed from the curse, became a symbol of hope and resilience for the people of Crescent Valley. It was often seen prowling the town at night, its golden eyes shining like beacons in the darkness. And while the whispers of the midnight feline had been silenced, the legend lived on, a testament to the power of friendship, courage, and the unyielding human spirit. The town of Crescent Valley would never forget the four friends who had faced their darkest fears and triumphed over the midnight felon's curse. And as the years passed, the legend of the black cat and its whispers would become a cherished part of the town's folklore, a haunting reminder of the power of love, friendship, and the indomitable human spirit who conquer even the darkest of fears.